Hey guys. All right, our essential question today is how can you tell time to the nearest minute? All right, so we are telling time today to the nearest minute. Let's review some. Let's look at this clock. We know from second grade, you guys learned that the shorthand, look here, this red hand, the shorthand is the hour hand, okay? The long hand in blue right here, the long hand is the minute hand. It's so important that we know the difference because we don't want you to have these backwards when you're telling time. So again, shorthand is the hour hand, the long hand is the minute hand, okay? Now, so how can you tell time to the nearest minute? Let's start with our word problem. Groundhog Day is February 2nd. People say that if a groundhog can see its shadow on that morning, winter will last another 6 weeks. The clock shows the time when the groundhog saw its shadow. What time was it? All right, so let's underline the question. What time was it? Where will you look to find the time, guys? Where will you look to find the time? We're going to look at the picture, of course, of the clock right below. Okay, we're going to really look at this picture right here. Now, before we can tell time to the nearest minute, let's look at this clock face and ask ourselves, what does the hour hand tell you? Remember, the hour hand is the short hand, so we want to locate the hour hand right here. The hour hand is between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock, boys and girls. Do you see that right here? It's between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Now we know the hour hand comes after the 7, but it has not made it to 8 o'clock yet. So it's 7 o'clock. Okay, so I would write the time is between 7 and 8 o'clock. All right, so it's 7 something. Next, ask yourself, what does the minute hand tell you? Here's the minute hand. The minute hand is directly on 7. Okay? Now, remember, in 1 minute, the minute hand moves from one mark to the next on a clock. Okay? So, bring back my little clock. Here's the minute hand. It takes, look at these little marks in blue. It takes 1 minute for the minute hand to move from one mark, from one point to the next. Okay? 1 minute. Now, it takes 5 minutes for the minute hand. Let's see if the minute hand's on the 4. It takes 5 minutes for the minute hand to move from one number to the next on a clock. So to get from 4 to 5, it takes 5 minutes. 5 to 6, it takes 5 minutes. Okay? So of course it takes 1 minute for the minute hand to move from these little marks in between the numbers, and it takes 5 full minutes, okay, to get for the minute hand to move from each number to the next. All right, now to count the minutes, we would start at 12. And remember, we can count these numbers on the clock face. We count by 5s, okay? So let's start at 12 and skip count. Of course, you can see they've already done it for you. So we would go 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and we would stop here at the 7, which is 35. Okay? So, we know that this clock shows 7:35. Another way we can write it, we can write it in word form, 7:35, or we can say 35 minutes after 7. So let's go back to answer this question. What time was it? The groundhog saw its shadow at, you got it, 7:35. Okay? Let's practice some more. All right. Now we're going to practice, that was a review with counting by fives. Now we're going to focus on telling time to the nearest minute. We're going to be counting by fives and ones, you guys. All right, let's 5 minutes after the hour. Let's look at this clock face right here. All right, first let's identify. Let's look to see where the hour hand is located. What does the hour hand tell you? Remember, the hour hand is the shorter hand. The hour hand is between 1 and 2 o'clock, okay? 1 and 2 o'clock. So we know that the time has to be, look, it's past the 1 o'clock, but it has not made it to the 2 o'clock yet, so it's 1 something. I'm going to write 1. I'm going to get it ready. We know the hour hand represents 1 hour. Now we're going to look to see where the minute hand, what does the minute hand tell us? The minute hand is the longer hand, okay? Now, to find out the minutes, we can count by fives and ones from 12, right? We start at 12, always. On the clock to where the minute hand is pointing. So we're going to start at 12 o'clock and we're going to stop until we get to this, to our minute hand right here. Okay? Start at 12, 5, 10, 15, 20. Now we're going to, look, from 20, we're going to count these little marks by ones. So we're going to count up by ones, okay? Until we get right here. So we would say 20, 21, 22, 23. No, that's really small. Okay? So the time shows 1:23. We can also say 23 minutes after 1, or we can say 1:23 in word form. Okay, so this is very important. When a clock shows 30 minutes or fewer minutes after the hour, you can read the time as a number of minutes after the hour. So what that means is, instead of saying 1:23, we can say 23 minutes after 1. 23 minutes after 1. Let's do an example where we find minutes before the hour. All right, first step, let's look at this clock face. We want to locate where the hour hand is, that shorthand right here. So the shorthand is between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. As you can see, it has not made it to 3 o'clock. It's not 3 o'clock yet. It's 2 something, right? So I'm going to write 2. We're going to figure out now, we're going to count the minutes. Here's the long hand. Okay? I'm going to start at 12. I'm going to count by fives, and I'm going to stop until when I get to 8 right here, and then we're going to count up by ones. Try to enlarge this. Okay, so let's count our minutes. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Now I'm going to count up by ones and stop right here because this is where the minute hand stops. So 40, 41, 42, 43. Okay, so it's 2:43. Now look, this is another way we can say that it's 2:43. When a clock, look at this clock. When a clock shows 31 or more minutes after the hour, which it does, look at 43 minutes is more than 31 minutes, we can read the time as a number of minutes before the next hour. So it's going to be 3 soon. So what we can do, we would start at 0 and count back, since we are trying to show the number of minutes before the next hour. And we would have, let's see, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17. So another way we can show 2:43, we can say there's 17 minutes before 3, or we can say again, it is 2:43. We're going to definitely in your homeroom practice this one. I feel like finding the minutes before the hour is more difficult. So we'll continue practicing that. All right, so how can you tell time to the nearest minute, you guys? All you have to do is first name the hour and then count by 5s and 1s to where the minute hand is pointing. And we'll practice some in a second. All right, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to decide when can we tell if we are using AM or PM with time. How can you tell time when to use AM and PM with time? Let's look at this word problem. Lauren's family is going hiking tomorrow at 7 o'clock. How should Lauren write the time to show that they are going in the morning, not in the evening? Okay, so we know Lauren's family is going hiking. We want to show that they are going in the morning, not in the evening. Ooh, that would be difficult to go hiking at night. That's kind of dangerous too. All right, so let's look here at this number line. You can use a number line to show the sequence or order of events. It can help you understand the number of hours in a day. So let's look here at this number line. Think, the distance from one mark to the next mark represents 1 hour. So look at these little marks. So if this is 12 o'clock right here, from this mark to this mark, that'll be 1 o'clock. From this mark to this mark, 2 o'clock. This mark to this mark would be 3 o'clock, and so forth. So the distance from one mark to the next mark represents 1 hour. All right, so let's tell time after midnight, okay? We know that midnight, boys and girls, is at 12 at night. The times after midnight and before noon are written with AM, okay? So 7 o'clock in the morning is written as 7 a.m. Capital A dot, capital M dot, okay? So Lauren should write the hiking time as 7 a.m. Again, the times after midnight, but before noon, we always write AM, okay? Let's look at another example. We're going to focus on time after noon. Callie's family is going for a canoe ride at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. How should Callie write the time? All right, guys, so noon is 12 o'clock in the daytime. The time after noon and before midnight are written with PM. And that makes sense, right? You don't go on a canoe ride at 3 a.m. in the morning. No. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is written as 3 p.m. So let's practice some. It says, write the time for the activity. Use AM or PM. All right, so first we're going to write the time. All right, let's see. Ride a bicycle. Look at the hour hand. The hour hand is right here. The shorter hand is between 4 and 5, so we know it has to be 4 o'clock. Now we're going to count the minutes. The minute hand is right in the middle of 4. So let's start at 12 and count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20. So this is 4:20. Now let's decide if it would be AM or PM, boys and girls. Again, let's use the knowledge that we already have. When would we ride a bicycle? Would you ride a bicycle at 4:20 in the morning when you should be sleeping? No, you should be riding a bicycle in the afternoon, so PM. Let's do another one. Make a sandwich. Well, first let's identify the time. Let's look at this clock. Here's the shorter hand. It's between 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock. So it's past the 11, but hasn't made it to 12 yet. So it has to be 11 o'clock. 11 something. Now let's count our minutes. Now on this one, you guys, look where the minute hand is, the longer hand. And that is right here on one of those smaller marks. So we're going to count by 5s and 1s. So let's stop at the 6 after we count by 5s, and then we're going to count up by 1s. So start at 12 when we're counting our minutes. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Now count these little tick marks until we get right here. 31, 32, 33, 34. It'll be easier when you have your clock in front of you. So 11:34, let's think. When would we make a sandwich? Would we do that at 11:34 a.m.? Right before noon? That seems about right when lunchtime would be. Or would we do this at 11:34 at night, PM, right before midnight? We would do it in the morning, AM, right before it hits the afternoon. Okay? So really think about that when you guys are doing this activity today, when you're writing the time for the activity. Think about, would it be in the morning for AM or PM at night?